Welcome to the iNetrepreneur Radio Show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNetrepreneur Media Network for magazines, TV, and radio network. We're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am so happy to be on the show today. And what I love about the show is we're doing a big celebration. And this celebration is all about the Art of Connection book series, starting with 365 networking quotes. And we're working currently, hurriedly, and getting everyone in for our fourth book in the series, 365 Days of Gratitude Quotes, which will be coming out in December of this year. So, I am so excited. Who thought that this little idea that started on a scratch pad, pretty much no more than what this looks like, has turned into an international best-selling series that's in the Library of Congress and that has won Collaborative Book Series of the Year for 2023. And, quite frankly, I ask this question sometimes from my networking members, and I said, can we learn from our children? And of course, it's always a resounding absolutely. And that's what I learned from my son when he said, you old people have it all wrong. When you talk about, legacy, it seems like you always talk about stuff, but isn't knowledge so much more important? And that's what this book is about. It's about having hundreds of authors in each book giving their best knowledge in bite-sized chunks, one day at a time, one page at a time. And I am so proud to be a part of this and part of everyone who's in this book. Before we get on to our guests, I want to do some wonderful, iNetrepreneur Art of Connection house cleaning. First, again, our international best-selling book series is The Art of Connection. You can go to 365 days of gratitude quotes.com, 365 days of gratitude quotes.com. You don't even need to put the deb in. Just put that in, you'll find it. We have a BOGO offer that's 2 pages in the book for $269, not for the $1,000 that it is normally. That's our retail rate. So $269 gets you in. And it also allows you access to come to our literary press, which we have each and every week, except this next week. It's the 4th of July, so we certainly aren't going to be there then. But I want everyone to know that we do this as a benefit to all of our authors so they understand the publication industry better. And also we have twice a year, we have the Art of Connection Summit, where all of us authors come together, and we're about nearly 1,000 strong. And we've created over 300 first-time published authors out there, and it's a proud fact that I love to say again and again and again. Please like us on Facebook, facebook.com/iNetrepreneur Radio. You can find the show there. You can also find us at YouTube at youtube.com/iNetrepreneur Radio. I know, I get it. Take a screen capture of it. I know it's hard to spell, but I always say bookmark our links and you'll never have to spell it again. So that's all you got to do. Just bookmark the links. We also, my team sends us, to LinkedIn and a lot of other places. Podcasting and stuff like that, and so we get thousands of views within the first 30 days of the show, and quite frankly, we get a lot of viewership each and every month. So but this is the best show because it's the current show, and that's what I'm gonna stick with. Also, subscribe to our magazines. We publish 2 magazines, both in print and digitally. It's the iNetrepreneur Network magazine and the Contemporary Woman magazine. If the Contemporary Woman magazine is a little bit easier to spell, go there and then go over to the iNetrepreneur Network magazine and then bookmark that one. Again, as long as you bookmark them, you don't have to worry about spelling those crazy names. But I always learned, if there isn't a name for what you do out there, make it up. iNetrepreneur Network, all made up, but it's all made up for you. Also, you can go to ntevents.net. That's ntevents.net for networking chapter meetings, academy classes, pop-up events, summits. Our Ultrapreneur Revolution is coming up. and oh my gosh, so much more. So there is so much going on in our community, and certainly our Ultrapreneur Revolution is coming, and I want everyone to come and let's have a party on the 26th and 27th of July, everyone. I always tell people it's a lot easier to get 200 people to go to one place than have 200 people going to 200 other places. So let's come together. Let's have a party. Let's have a fun time on the 26th and 27th. You can go to ultrapreneurrevolution.com for more information on that. Woo! Man, I got to tell you, so much to do, so much to say. And I am bringing on my first guest, Lauren Archibeque. Lauren, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm fabulous. How are you, Robert?
I am doing well. I am with Lauren Archibeque. She's an author contributor in the Art of Connection, and you've been in this series a few times. She is owner and founder of the Grove Company. You can contact her at lauren@thegrovecompany.net or call her at 480-276-0443. And I always say that, and I like to say this sometimes. People ask me, why do you read that banner? Robert, why do you read that banner? We can read it. We're on the show. We're watching. And I always say, yes, you're reading and you're watching, but so does the transcribing companies, and they read and they transcribe what I say on the show, so it gets your contact information out there in transcription. So I will say it again. I'm with Lauren Archibeque. She's owner and founder of the Grove Company. You can reach her at lauren@thegrovecompany.net or call 480-276-0443. So thank you for being here today, Lauren.
Phew, that was a lot of information.
A lot of information, and we're bombarded by information each and every day. You know, Lauren, you and I have known each other for quite some time, and I think you're one of the most remarkable people that I've ever met. And I say that because your credential is like an alphabet soup of just amazingness. You have wonderful certifications in almost any genre I could even think of, and your background's incredible. But you remain such a humble and just a wonderful person. Just before we get talking about the book, just tell us a little bit about your background. Not too deep, but what you're doing now. Tell where you're from. Just give us a little bit of who you are.
Well, many years ago, Robert, I was born. No.
Yeah. I said a little bit.
Well, Robert, you and I know each other very well, and thank you for that just incredible introduction. And truly, I am humbled because you are a force of nature and a spark in my world. So I am really humbled by your introduction. So my journey into what I do today really started. You said you started yours on a little napkin, post-it, whatever it was. Mine started with tears. Mine started with anger. Mine started with really, I was broke. I was broken, and I felt hopeless. Now, that was many, many years ago. My life is not like that now. But in those moments when I was told from authority that I would never work again, and that I was permanently disabled and I'd be in a wheelchair, which, by the way, there isn't one here, in case anybody was wondering, it left me in a place that I don't want anybody to experience. That's my heart. So what led me into all of these amazing modalities, these amazing techniques that I get to use all the time, was really, it started with me. It started with me looking for healing for me. And today, I'm at a place where successful people who have had success, whether it's money, whether it's family, whether it's relationships, world-class athletes, people who have successful people hire me when they realize that their life is still broken.
And I want to, and so really quickly, I want to comment on that. And you have a concept of the core saboteur, and for many of us, just like my background's in programming, we're programmed a certain way, And for many of us, that programming doesn't get reprogrammed, but there are ways that we can reprogram that. And I'm just reading that out because you help people get past the barriers that keep them at whatever level they're at. And all of us have that at one point or another in our life, even the most successful people. And one of my reasons in bringing that out with you is, when it comes to the Art of Connection book series, there are wonderful, amazing, talented people, from high level 7 and 8 figure coaches to people who help develop mindsets, to people who do great things in social media, to people who have been internationally best-selling authors in their own right. And one of the things is, you could be doing all these things, but here you are, a part of this Art of Connection series, and you didn't have to do this. You decided that you wanted to do this, and learn with all of your credentials and all the things that you've accomplished in your life. Single, business woman owner, very successful. You chose this book. What are some of the reasons why you're in this book?
Okay, Robert, truth be told, because you told me about it.
No, don't. Come on now. Don't do that.
Okay,
Oh my goodness.
that was the number.
It's
That
Robert
was my
says so.
first
No.
reason. That was
Yeah.
my first reason.
Hmm.
And then my second reason was, each of us is here with a purpose. Each of us is here with something that we are meant to deliver while we're on this planet. Our time here is very, very short. Our impact can be very, very big. They actually say that one person, we're not talking about the movie stars or the influencers as they're called today. We're talking about average people will touch 40,000 lives. 40,000. Now, if you put your words, your little nugget of wisdom or thoughts or insights somewhere that it can live on, who knows how many people that would touch. And I don't know that my one chapter in one book or one full book, which I am a best-selling author on my own, I don't know how many people that will touch, but if I can touch this many more through a vehicle that is a collaboration. And like you said, there's incredible talent in these books and incredible insights once you start reading them, and you really do gain a nugget every day. And if I can be part of that, as well as doing what I do, the bigger question would be, why not? Why not share what you have with the world? Because everybody has some insight, some nugget, something that will be of assistance to somebody else.
And what's quite frankly, in the book, it is one page and it's one per day, and people can choose to be anywhere in the book, or they can choose the exact date that they want to be in, as long as someone else doesn't have it. And I've been told by teachers and students alike across the country that what they love about the book is, they call it, they say it's like social media in a bottle, but it's a book. And they're able to read that influencer or that small business owner or the entrepreneur's quote, on the previous book on transformation, on this one on gratefulness. And they're able to read that page, and they're able to take in that information. Here is Lauren Archibeck's quote, and here's a thought on it, which provides context, and there's a question to the reader. And what they're finding is because there's so much information, it's so varied, that all of a sudden the students read not just the first page, but then they go to the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and all of a sudden they're reading 20 and 30 pages of the book in their entrepreneurial business classes. And that's something I never knew. And they're starting to see the power of authorship. What are your thoughts on that, on these kids really starting to consume the information that Howard and Ken, you and I put in this book?
Well, it's a term that's used over and over again. They are our future.
Mm-hmm.
They are our future. I know for me personally, I became an entrepreneur at 16 years old. And here I am 45 years later, still an entrepreneur.
4.5 years later, can't be that long.
Well, but here's the piece is that when these kids, it doesn't matter whether they're 12 or 16 or 21 or 30, they're still kids to me. When they get the understanding of what being an entrepreneur is, what it provides not only for the entrepreneur themselves, but the truth is we create a lot of the jobs and the opportunities for other people as well. It's a win-win-win when it's done well.
Yeah, I would agree. And so many times in our business, Lauren, we work with a lot of entrepreneurs. We work with a lot of small to mid-sized business owners, and we talk about the power of authorship. Both writing your own books and both being a part of a collaborative book. And we discuss the benefits, but I always say it. Sometimes it's like being on one side of the door, and you really don't know what's on the other side of the door until you just open it and walk through. And I've had hundreds of authors come back to me, and I've had over 300 first-time authors in the book series so far, and many of them come back to me and said, "You know what? This is the most powerful, best thing I've ever done." And the first few times I was like, even I was thinking like, well, it's just a page. How can it be that powerful and wonderful? It's just a page. And they came back to me and they said, it wasn't that it was just the page. It was that I wrote the page. I saw that I was published, and when I ordered the book and I had it in my hands, it became more real than almost anything else that I did. And then all of a sudden they start getting this publishing bug, and they started seeing that, there's a lot to this authorship thing. What is some of your insight, and what have you seen that it's done for other people that have been in the book that you know?
When you take on a project like writing a chapter, it doesn't matter whether it's 300 words or 1,500 words it doesn't matter. But when you sit in that creative space and there's an exposure factor here that I think you expose yourself all the time. Okay, you put yourself out there. Not everybody does that, Robert. And when you do, and you step into that platform, when you step into that arena, there's two things going on. One, beforehand, there's a fear factor. Let's be honest, there is. I know for me, when I wrote my book and that first case came to my house, I opened it up, I looked at the cover, I shut the box, I shoved it in my closet, and I thought, those are never seeing the light of day. Now, interestingly enough, I was on my way to a book tour. It was going to see the light of day. But the point is that there is a fear factor. You are exposing a piece of yourself to the world. On the other side of that, outside your comfort zone, if somebody's never done it before, you're going to be uncomfortable, my friends. It is uncomfortable to do something you haven't done before. And that's perfect, because you've heard it. Everything you want is on the other side of comfort. So you get uncomfortable for a minute, but here's the good news. You're in a book with all of these authors to help support you, including Robert behind everybody, cheering you on, helping, supporting along the way. And now you get that book in your hand, and there is a sense of accomplishment and knowing you made a contribution to someone somewhere that you may never meet. It's powerful stuff. And you're hitting into, you're touching that creative space in yourself where so many good things are, and you have blocked yourself off from them. So any little touch you can give it is going to help you with anything that you endeavor to do. Plus, now you've also gotten out of your comfort zone, so you're more willing to try new. Do you want me to keep going,
Yeah,
Robert?
well, yeah, I could hear this forever, believe me. But one last question, and I said this at the beginning of our segment. You're very accomplished, very successful, Lauren. You have, I believe, one of the world's most incredible programs to help people find the broken pieces of themselves, put them back together, and to move forward. But in this book, I've had a lot of people say, you know, I asked them the question, what has this 1 page or 2 page or even 3 pages done for them? Has this book done something for you that you would like to share, even if it stopped you for a few moments to put your quote, a thought, and a question together? Would you be able to share that with us?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I have two pieces actually. One is exactly what you said, is knowing that I wanted that time to put my creative energy into a chapter. So that was number one. And that was a huge gift because what it did, that first book that I did with you, I hadn't written more than, little things in ages. And it reawakened for me how much I get out of writing. I get out, not necessarily what I'm delivering. And number two is before the last book even launched, when we got our pre-copies, I had two people reach out to me to talk to me, to connect with me. And let me whisper this, but that's about exposure and business.
Right, right.
But, besides
Don't
everything
tell
else,
anyone, right? Don't tell anyone. Yeah, don't let that out of the bag.
it'll be our secret. But you get exposure. And like I said, I had two people reach out to me before the book even landed. Two. That's pretty impressive considering it wasn't even published yet.
Yeah,
But
I tell you, I always say it's like one of the hardest things I ever did was to get that first book out on the marketplace, because it really is interesting to show someone a piece of paper and a concept, and then all of a sudden it does come real, and there is nothing more beautiful than that. But Lauren,
mm-mm.
I just want to remind everyone I'm with Art of Connection author contributor Lauren Archibeque. She's owner and founder of the Growth Company. You can contact her at Lauren. That's LAUREN at thegrovecompany.net, or call her at 480-276-0443. And one of the words I'm going to remember of what you said here today, Lauren, which I thought is amazing, is the word reawaken. And that's what even 1 page will do sometimes. It reawakens, things inside of us, because it for at least a few moments, it puts us in this crazy world that we live in. It puts us into a pause, and then all of a sudden, we're sharing to the world, but we're also sharing to ourselves at the same time.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Robert, it's always a pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to spend some time with you. We don't see each other often enough, my friend, but
Well, you're the
that's
best, and I want to say thank you. So stop doing this, because you're going to make me cry. Okay, so.
it's my
But
claim
Lauren,
to fame.
no, that's right. It's your claim to fame. I know. It reminds me, there was some ESPN show that I used to watch, and it seemed like everyone that went on that show always cried. And I was just like, you can do that to people, my friend. But you're the best. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Lauren, and thank you for sharing your insights in the love that you have for this concept and what we're doing together. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too, Robert. See
Again, I
you.
want to thank Lauren Archibeque for being on the show here today. I mean, what an incredible passion that she has for other people. But speaking of passion, I have a very passionate author contributor that's coming on to the show. His name is Howard Brown. Howard, how are you?
Hey, Robert, thank you. I don't know how to follow that up with Lauren, but I'm going to try.
I know it's just like she just go. I always tease Lauren. I'm like I know her and she's light and bubbly, but then she can just go right into it like deep, and I'm like Lauren, whoa, gotta get you back here with us. But I am with Art of Connection author contributor Howard Brown. He's owner and founder of Shining Brightly. You can contact him at howard@shiningbrightly.com or call 248-770-3191. Howard, I am so glad that you're here today. And yeah, Lauren, she is amazing. But you know what? Everyone in this book is amazing, and you are one of these amazing cats that are in the book. And I'm so grateful that you decided to be a part of this crazy journey, Howard, and join us here today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, and I love being in the book, and I'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, just a little bit about your back, a little bit about your background more immediately, because I want people to also get a little bit of perspective of your life and a challenge that you've gotten past, and because that is the really the premise of this book is really heart-centered, like-minded people who, sure, do they want to gain exposure? Do they want to become more aware within the entrepreneurial and author community? Yes, but you're also giving back to the world. And tell us a little bit about a couple of hurdles you've had and what you've overcome, because I want them to know your story. You're not just an author in the book, you're a real person that writes about real things, and you're on a real journey right now, which I'm excited about.
I am. So thank you for that. I want to tell you that I am a true bona fide entrepreneur. I'm a Silicon Valley tech entrepreneur. I have exits in tech companies. I graduated from Babson College, the #1 school for entrepreneurship in the world. A little brag there. And but my story is not all about business. It's about life. It's about the roller coaster of life. And for all the successes in life, I've been knocked down hard. At age 23, very young, I was diagnosed with stage 4 T-cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And thank God, I have a twin sister. Her bone marrow saved my life. That's miracle number
Oh boy.
one. Miracle number one. Miracle number two is that because I banked some sperm, 11 years later, we have this beautiful miracle girl, Emily. Father's Day means a real lot to me, to go through what I've been through, to be a dad. And then lightning struck again at age 50. I had the screening age is now 45, but at 50, I had a colonoscopy, and there was an 8.5 centimeter tumor in my intestine. And
Oh boy.
lightning struck again, back to chemotherapy, back to surgeries, back to clinical trials, side effects, all the yucky stuff. This was in 2016. I am very blessed, very lucky, and very fortunate and grateful to come through this right now, because in the cancer world, the stage 4 cancer world, we live with a lot of people. Their cancer burden's too much. God calls them, they die. But I am here. And what I did from cancer into COVID was become a published author of my memoir, Shining Brightly, that is really how to lead a resilient life with hope. It does have some cancer chapters in there, but I've had a very interesting life as a Silicon Valley entrepreneur, international peacemaker, big brother, mentor, all that good stuff in there. Even meeting my wife is a chapter in the book. And so really, this has all been fairly new. I basically came out of COVID and said, I am going to be an author, a motivational keynote speaker, a podcaster, and I am going to help people through the life experience of getting knocked down, as we all do in life and health and in relationships and in business, how to get back up again.
Yeah.
Because I had to do it. And that's my soul shining brightly movement.
And it, there's so many things you say that resonate with me, because I've also walked through some of those footsteps. I'm a cancer survivor. I got through that when I was 40. I have a daughter named Emily. My firstborn, she's going to be 23 years old. She's an aspiring artist in Las Vegas, just an amazing. She makes caricatures and she does anime and all these, just like, wow, like, where did that brain come from? But one of the things that I see with you each and every time, Howard, and this is why for me it's amazing that you're in the book, because you're already a successful author. You could have said, no, I don't need to be a part of some collaborative book. What good is that going to do me? But you didn't. You saw it was a book where you could create a legacy. You could create an imprint, on providing inspiration, hope and support to others in bite-sized chunks. And it I feel blessed because of that, and I feel like, you could have said no, but you said yes. You could have said, "Hey, I'm too busy," but you didn't. You could have been, it's not my cup of tea, but you drank it, and all these things I could say, but you did it anyway. What were some of the reasons for you to say, you know what, I'm going to be a part of this contribution. I'm going to contribute as a part of this compilation book. What were your thoughts behind that?
Well, first of all, my daughter's name is Emily as well, and she's 21, and she's a TV reporter in Missoula, Montana, after graduating in journalism at University of Michigan. So she just moved out there. So we both have Emily's, and we both have victorious over cancer. So that's alignment and synchronicity all in one. I tell you
Yes.
this, the reason that I joined the book was, one is that it's all about building your brand and continuing the momentum. Okay. So my book came out, it started to sell really, really well. And they're saying, what else have you done? What else have you published? Well, I'm a new author. I didn't have anything else that I published. So jumping into this book that launched in January was just the right timing to help with the momentum, help with the brand building. And I had something to say. And I guarantee you that someone has read my quote, has been impacted, has gotten either help or inspired, and potentially bought my book. And the bonus, this is the bonus, Robert, that I have to tell you that I've come to realize in getting involved with the book. This community is incredible. Okay. I actually have the Kindle and the hard copy. I search the Kindle and I find people for my podcast, people that want me to be on their podcast, people that want to get me on stages, bring me to events. And this network has been incredible. And so that's the bonus factor of me, is that I'm joining this brotherhood and sisterhood of other, mostly heart-centered or all heart-centered people that are growing their businesses as coaches, authors, speakers, or creatives and healers. And it's been a really cool ride because I now expanded my network, X amount of people. And we now know each other through the medium of you putting us together every Tuesday on a Zoom meeting to
You,
learn and share together.
and I think that's a part of it. What happens sometimes is, success leaves clues, but sometimes success puts us on jets. And what I mean by that is I wanted to have a community where those who are very, very successful can also, lead by stories, lead by example, lead by having that brotherhood with each other, because publishing can be very confusing for the first time. When you've been in it now, I've been in it for 4 years. It appears very different to me than someone who has only been interested in it for 4 minutes or 4 hours or 4 days. And it can be overwhelming. And that's why I put the classes together. That's why I put the Art of Connection Summit together. That's why I put it in a bite-sized type of chunk, so people could get that feeling of that first taste of authorship. Because so many times, publishers, they get you in, but then once you're in, where do you go from there? There's never, quite that path. And I wanted to kind of lift the veil to bring, more credibility to, not necessarily the industry, but the people behind the industry that make it happen. And that's us, you and me, the author. And you've come in there, and I see you, and I'm going to say it, shining brightly, kind of raising the sword of this concept, and digging in and inspiring others to do the same. And I just want to say thank you for that.
Well, I thank you for that, because now I am getting a lot more credibility. I have more depth as an author, and also authenticity. When people come to one of the largest, if not the largest search engine in the world, Amazon.com, they don't see a one book wonder. They see
Yeah.
someone that's depth. I actually have co-authored a couple other books, but this book in particular has gotten so many bestseller awards in so many categories in so many countries. It's reached way more than I could do myself. So the
Yeah.
collaborative is powerful. And for me, I mean, oh my God, my message is being shared all over the world. And again, it's also, I am not touting it. The collective is touting it. And every
Yeah.
also I keep the hard copy near my coffee stand, and every day you read one page. I know I'm page September 20th. It happens to be the day that I'm cancer free, and it means a lot. Page 263 to shine brightly. But today's page 180, and it's Yolanda Brown, no relation. I happen to know her. I'm getting to know more and more people in the book, and her words of wisdom is really about being intentional. And so every day, I mean, it takes, literally 30 seconds to read the page. It takes a little bit more to digest it and take the meaning in
Yeah.
and see how you can apply it each day when you look in the mirror and see what you're going to accomplish that day. This is a powerful medium, and I highly recommend it if you haven't done it. But the little tidbits that I'm learning about tweaking my author page and being able to be a more complete author that rolls off into my speaking gigs, because I get introduced as a best-selling multi-book author. And
Yes.
also, I have a lineup of podcast guests and podcast guest appearances to on my own show and other shows. I mean, I have a built-in network here that I don't have to go out of the network if I don't need to.
Yeah. And I love that there's a certain amount of entrainment because the spirit of the individuals that come into the book um, have the same spirit of self, of business and community, because all of us have a little bit of that. And all of us have that story of heartbreak or loss or overcoming odds or, being and sometimes even being the misfit. But in spite of everything, having and finding others around us to help us and digging within ourselves. And here we are sharing our stories. And what I love about this current book is it really is all about gratitude. And a lot of times, and like in our class, I talk about gratitude. The original definition of gratitude was something, what was the true giver's gain. It's like when I give of something to Howard and he receives, there's a gratefulness or there's a place for both of us to grow. And so much of the time we think of gratitude where it's like, here's your $100 and one person benefits at the expense of the other, but that's not gratitude. Real gratitude means both parties have been enlightened on both sides. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I would agree 100%, and I can't wait for the gratitude series to come out in January, because it's special, and gratitude is something that if you incorporate that into your life, you will live happier. There's actually, it's medically proven. Psychologists will tell you if you
Mhm.
apply gratitude to yourself and others, you live a happier life, a more positive life. I also want to tell you, Robert, that the thing that I think you don't realize is that you and the publishing team take the big lift. I am coming off of publishing a 360-page book with 62 pictures, with 65 endorsements in 3 formats. Oh my goodness. That is, it took 3 years. I mean, for me to sit down and write my heartfelt feelings about being inspirational in 1 page, hand that off to you, and then magically have the book and the Kindle appear on the publishing date and get all that publicity and all that promotion around the world. Wow. I mean, just sign me up for that ride. And I did.
And it really is interesting because, I mean, I will admit it. I say this a lot of times, and I don't know if you've heard this story or not in one of the classes. I said the hardest thing I ever did in my entire life, Howard, was my 12 weeks of Marine Corps boot camp. That hands down for the entirety of my, I mean, my cancer was hard too. Don't get me wrong. That was hard to overcome that. But that Marine Corps boot camp was just, it was amazingly hard because I'm thinking like I'm willing to put up with all of this. What am I doing here, right? And 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 then I had the first book, and then after that I said, well, the Marine Corps boot camp was the second hardest thing I ever did in my entire life. And then I did the second book, and I was must have been a slow learner, and I said, well, the Marine Corps boot camp is now the third hardest thing I ever did in my life, and people don't understand. I mean, there is quite a process to do a book right, and I tell people a lot. I tell them this way. I say, when you get the manuscript done, the other half, if not more than half of the work starts. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I actually getting the book done is kind of like just the ticket to the dance. You've got
Yeah.
to have the high quality book and high quality publication, and you take all the heavy lift on that. No, books don't sell themselves. They don't have
Mhm.
wheels and legs. You have to promote it. And the
Yep.
great thing about this is that this isn't one person promoting the book with me, like I'm promoting my own book and having help with a little bit from my publisher and others a little bit and my own social media. This is a force multiplier of all these contributors.
Mhm.
Everyone is forcing and promoting this together, and that multiplication effect is enormous, and that's how you get 85 bestsellers in how many countries? I mean, I don't know how many what it was, but it was
Yeah,
just
all the
enormous.
English speaking countries now. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, South
incredible.
Africa, Ireland, United Kingdom, Australia, and it just keeps growing. And now I'm being asked, okay, look, what languages can you put it in, and
Right.
put it in an audiobook form. And now let's do a workbook form. I'm like, let me just get through the let me just get through the fourth book, breathe, and keep going, because like I said, I never in a lifetime thought that schools and kids would be reading this book as kind of like a textbook of study, so they can really understand through the entrepreneur's eyes and really stories on what our life is like, because the textbooks give them functional information, but they don't give them that heartfelt you know information. And I think that that's what students want now. They want to feel the heart of Howard Brown or Kenneth Hill or Lauren Archibeque or Robert Jones, not just what we did, but the feelings of what we went through to get there. I think that that's really what they resonate with. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. Coming from a school like Babson College that teaches the
Hmm.
formula for entrepreneurship of all kinds, it takes a lot of different shapes and forms and sizes. And by reading this book, you can give reinforcement or even the spark to a young person to pursue a particular course of action. Fashion, media, technology, working in their family business, painting, artistry, music. It doesn't matter, but
Yeah.
you never know what that spark, and it could be on page 263 or it could be on page 40 of where they do it. And the other thing is that you're getting this from experiential people. We've lived and walked the walk, and we're putting this on
Yeah.
paper. So this is true real life experience that's going to paper that they can actually take away from. And you know what? They can get in touch with you. They can contact you,
Mhm.
explore more about it. Oh my God, it makes my day when a young person calls me and said, Howard, I'd like to talk to you. I'd like to tell you what I'm doing, get your feedback. Who doesn't love that? That's the biggest compliment one can play.
And absolutely, and we do set up the book, and and for people who haven't seen the book, and the page is set up with the quote from Howard Brown. But to see, it goes deeper because Howard is able to put his thought into the quote too, because that was my biggest complaint about going to different online sources, and they'd give you the quote, but you don't understand the author's context to that quote.
Right.
And over the years, sometimes it 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 it, it like Play-Doh, it gets molded in different ways for different uses, unintentionally even, but that's how it goes sometimes. And here we get to understand the source of where that quote or story or overcoming the odds or whatever it is in the book, and then a question to the reader, which allows the reader to muse upon it. And then the best thing about it of all, I think, is then the touching part is this: I've been touched by that author. I have a way to contact, like you said, and reach out to them. And I've actually had authors reach other authors, like you've done in the book, and all of a sudden they're finding it's like, we have this in common, or we know this person, or I have this coming up. And all of a sudden it's really turning into something so much more in a book. It really is turning into a community that achieves more together. And that, it's not a bunch of islands who have no ferry boats that reach each other. I mean, I think we're putting up zip lines to each other as we grow. And it's helping all of us speed to some success. So my question, Howard, my last question is, you know, I mean, let me do it this way, Howard. I mean, why do I want to write a book? Why do I need to be in this book? I mean, I'm fine without it. What would you tell that person, that says, being in a collaborative book, it just sounds too big, too good to be true. What would you tell that person?
First of all, for the price that you're charging, I've been offered to be in books for $3,500 to $10,000 to $25,000. So first of all, that's outrageous. But here's the benefits. Okay, the benefits are, one is that it is an expression of your brand. Okay, and you're joining with everyone else and being it's this collective. And that's very important. The second thing is that to be a published author opens doors for you, invites you to stages. And I will tell you this, Robert, in the book, people are doing business together. They are joining movements together. They are helping people together. They are healing people together. It is happening between these 3 volumes, and the 4th volume is only going to add to that. And so that's a big deal. And I'm learning that as we go, because I joined in this 3rd version. I wish I did the first 2 now. And there's really no reason not to do it, because as Lauren just said, to write a page of your own expression and have that and be considered a best-selling published author for a contributing author, no one asked you the contributing part. You're a best-selling author, part of a very book that is traveling around the world. I would do it now.
One author told me, and they said, they don't show your page, they show the cover of your book. And that's what people see when they go to your Amazon author profile. I mean, Howard, thank you so much for being on the show. Again, I want to remind everyone, I'm with Art of Connection author contributor Howard Brown. He's owner and founder of Shining Brightly.
And I'm going to shine brightly right now for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Contact him at howard@shiningbrightly.com or call 248-770-3191. Again, that is 248-770-3191. I want to make sure all those transcribing machines out there get this information correctly, because I want everyone to point back to you. Howard, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Absolute pleasure, Robert. Let's go get them together. Thank you. It's a team
Let's go
sport.
get them together. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Wow, man, amazing, amazing, amazing. So good to talk with Howard Brown. See, I had to create a whole radio show to get to speak with Howard. I mean, the guy's so busy. It's like, I'm glad I was able to get him on today. So thank you so much, Howard, for being on the show. I am just so impressed with you. And I love the uplifting vibe that you put out there into the entrepreneurial authorverse. And I just want to say thank you so much. And I want to bring another incredible story and another incredible person who is in the book, and I'm bringing him on right now. He is Kenneth Hill Jr. Kenneth, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Robert?
You know what? I mean, after Lauren Archibeque and Howard Brown, and now I having you, how can I not be anything but outstanding? I mean, I really do. And people sometimes they go, are Robert, are you really like that? Are you like, do you have that excitement? Do you have that enthusiasm? Do you have that passion? I mean, is this what you want? And I'm like, absolutely I do. I feel like I've had to live 4 lifetimes to get to the point where I'm at now, to just enjoy my life the way that I have it now. And, and that's what's so important. And now, we have a vehicle, you, Howard, Lauren, and all the rest of the authors in the book, Donna Campbell, Dr. Karen Perkins, my wife, Orlea Moore, we have a platform, where it's like we're creating one of the world's largest parties of success. And I'm always like, gosh, if I'm going to be in something, God, be in something for the rest of my life that's I'm going to have some fun and some fulfillment out of it. Well, wouldn't you agree?
Oh, I know what you mean. I have a blast every day.
Oh, so everyone, I'm with Art of Connection author contributor Kenneth Hill. He's owner and founder of US Hapkido Alliance LLC. You can contact him at kennhilljr@gmail.com or call 609 792-0503. Ken, like Howard, like me, like Lauren, we all have these stories of overcoming, some sort of odds. And, in a certain way, my dad always told me, he's like, son, you need to have a little bit of irritation, if not a lot of irritation in life. And I'm like, well, why do I want to have any irritation at all? He's like, you know what? You know, he said, you know how pearls are made? And I'm like, no, pearls are made due to irritation. The sand gets into like the oyster, and the oyster creates a secretion that starts the creation of that pure and that pearl. And it takes the irritation to have a certain amount of growth. Because if we're convenient and happy in everything, right, there's no need to grow or move on, is there?
That's true.
you know so like I asked Howard, tell us a little bit about your background, of overcoming some things in your life before we actually start, going about our business in the book, because you also have an incredible story of coming over some, would be physical challenges that you actually turned into your advantage.
Yeah, well, growing up, I was always clumsy, always tripping and falling, it was just something that happened to me and I never knew why. And I was a quiet guy, shy, I stuttered a lot. So I was picked on as well. So I went through the bullying like so many others.
Hmm.
And getting into martial arts at the age of 9 was just like, I never knew it could be so good, and I was just getting into it to, build confidence because I was getting picked on all the time. I got tired of coming home crying because I was getting beat up at school and picked on. And I loved it. But at 22, I had doctors tell me stop doing martial arts and have surgery on both ankles. They said if you don't, you're going to be confined to a wheelchair by the age of 35.
Wow. Yeah. And being at that age, in a certain way, I know when I was at that age, I felt pretty invincible, and I felt like I was going to live on forever. I mean, how did you stomach that? What was your feeling like when those words first came out of their mouth?
Well, I actually laughed, and
You laughed.
I laughed, and they got irritated by it. And but everybody said, oh, whenever you get bad news, get a second opinion. Well, I got four opinions, and they were all unanimous. They all said stop martial arts, have surgery on both ankles, or you're going to be confined to a wheelchair by the age of 35.
Wow.
Well, I always remembered something my mom said. She said, being hard headed has its benefits.
I love
So
it.
So she told me, she said, I don't care if there's 100 people in the room and they're all against you. You stand your ground for what you believe. So I declined the surgery and I continued with martial arts. I found out a decade later the reason why I had such bad ankles, why I was always injuring my ankles. It's because I was born with a hereditary nerve disease called Charcot-Marie Tooth Disease, or CMT. It's got a really weird name. And the neurology team that I have now said if you had stopped martial arts, you would have definitely been in a wheelchair.
Wow. I mean, that's incredible to hear. So Ken, I applaud that you're hard-headed. So you know, it's funny because it reminds me, my mom said there's three things that make every person in life. And she said the first is nature, the second is nurture, and the third is your noodle. And you are using your noodle, okay? So so I
Yeah,
appreciate that. Ken, you're very accomplished. You have an amazing organization. You teach martial arts. You speak on the behalf of martial arts. You're an advocate. You're really a part of the world, and you're creating a lot of open doors for a lot of people and giving them the gift of confidence. And like Lauren and like Howard, there could have been any number of things that you could have chose to do with your time other than writing a page for the book of the art of connection with like 320 something other people, but you decided to do it. What were some of the reasons why you decided to be a part of this a collection and collaboration, and really, to me, jump in with 2 feet and really take this and be a part of this community to inspire others? What were some of your factors?
Well, when I heard the theme of it, which was gratitude, I mean, that's what I am. I'm grateful for everything that I have, and I'm grateful for the bad times because those bad times help to nurture, who I am now. And without them, I can't say I would have been as strong as I am because, like you said earlier, if you have everything handed to you, you don't have any reason to really do anything. But because it was so rough for me and I didn't want that, it just motivated me to want to do something different. And a lot of people say, I have good days and bad days, and I never make that statement. I have good
Right.
days and better days because
Mhm.
every day I get up is a good day. I do what I can to make it better, but I don't have any bad days. I enjoy life and I'm grateful for it, and I'm happy to help as many people as I can.
Yeah. And I like that you said that. I have learned not to have, bad days either. I've learned that there are days that will make me struggle,
Yes,
but and my wife goes, well, that's the day you're learning a lesson. She said, because when you look at life, look at every day as a lesson or a blessing, and sometimes you get a little bit of both. I
yes,
said, honey, you need to do a book called Lessons and Blessings, because I think a
yes.
lot of people need to subscribe to that series. But you came in, you wrote a page, but you also embraced the community, you embraced the class, you embraced the promotion of this book to others. What were some of the other factors that you found that really made you want to engage with the other people within this community?
I've met some dynamic people in this circle, and just listening to their journey in life, it just keeps me motivated and inspired to continue to do what I do. There are times, I thought, okay, it's been enough, but I'm still breathing.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm still breathing, I know I have that in me to want to do as much as I can. Like I said, the people I've met are just so dynamic, and I love to hear their stories and their journeys through life. And I love that they can be so transparent and say, hey, I've struggled through this. It was a rough time for me. But hey, if I can help someone else who's struggling in that way, then I would love to help them. And I love that about it.
Yeah. And like I said with Howard, he touched on some things in the business part of it. I mean, I feel the same way. I'm like, it's helped me reach people that I would have never reached before. It's helped me do things I've never done before, think thoughts I've never thought, and go places I've never gone. I mean, all due to the book and the people in this book. I offer opportunities. Opportunities are offered to me, at the business level, from the personal level. You know what's really nice is I have the ability to start just picking up the phone. I mean, like today, I mean, I one of my great friends who's in the book, she came down with pneumonia and had laryngitis. I got to pick up the phone. I got to call Howard, and Howard showed up. He's like, I will do it. It wasn't like, well, here, call my secretary in, right, in
Uh-huh.
Illinois, and then they'll send out a memo to someone in San Francisco to make sure
Right.
legal does it, and then all of a sudden, then he's going to get on the show, but it can't do it for another 4 to 5 weeks. What I really love about it is everyone in here is a CEO of their life. We're all our own decision makers, and we actually get to really, run it, each other's speed in all of this success. And that's what I appreciate about it, because so much of the time, and I get to go through the book, there's something so special about sharing, um, our vulnerabilities in addition to our strengths, because I feel like the strongest people in the world really have, the deepest of vulnerabilities, but yet they're able to rise up above it. And I think that that's what I see in this book. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, you know, we've all had our struggles in life, but so many people want to paint this picture like everything's been great, and they don't ever want to talk about those things. They're like, oh, well, you know, I put it behind me. Well, you know, there's no need to discuss it. And I was one of those kind of people until people said to me, thank you. It was like, what? For sharing those hard times because you actually helped me and you didn't know it. And I was like, really? And they were like, yeah, because I was struggling with some things emotionally. And I realized even though you went through something different, your emotions were the same. And it was so nice to hear that you were able to get through it and this is what you did to get through it. And that means the world to me when people say, you know, I can't thank you enough for just, you know, being open with me about some of the things you've been through because I didn't realize how many people I was helping.
You know, and it's tremendous. You know, I'm going to share a story with one of the authors in the first book, and she's been in a couple of books. And her and her husband, they had like a pot CBD shop up in Illinois, but that was like the husband's dream. That wasn't her dream. And her name is Tiffany, and so and Tiffany calls me up one day, and she, and I really had to almost beg and plead her to be in the book because it'll be life changing. I mean, little did I know that it would be life changing. I
Right,
was saying that because I felt like it, you're published. Isn't that life changing? I was looking at it just at the page level, you know,
right.
and she came back to me a couple of years later and she called me up and she goes, Robert, I really, really want to thank you. She said, I'm going to tell you what this one page has done for me. She said, this one page has given me the confidence to know that I can do this on my own. I can have my dream. I can support my husband's dream. But at the end of the day, when I felt that book in my hand, I saw my name in print. You know, it told her that she could do it. And that's where I first found out that it wasn't about the page, it was about the accomplishment. That's totally different. It's not about the page, everyone. It's about the accomplishment. And she went back to me and she says, I started my own book series for kids. And so now I
Wow.
have kids journaling books in my own book series, and they're kid rock stars or something like that. And so she has an illustrator, and they illustrate kids stories to help them become entrepreneurs as well. And I just
Awesome.
wanted to share that with you and also get your take on, when you come across someone, they say, Ken, I don't have anything to write about. I don't have anything to say. Why should I be in that book? What would you tell them, that the person who feels like they're an imposter, when you and I both know that they've lived a full life and they do have something to say?
I used to say that too. You know, I don't have anything to write about either. And then I looked at my life and I realized how special my journey has been. And I want to just inspire people to never give up on themselves, no matter what the odds are or the difficulties are. And I tell people, you've all had that same kind of theme to your life where you've had some struggles and you've had
Hmm.
some difficulties, and you would be dynamic in this book, just letting that out to other people because you're going to touch more people than you could possibly imagine.
I totally agree. And and the other things and I started talking about this with Howard. I brought the classes together because I felt like in many ways, when it came to authorship, when it came to the publishing world, you know, I started learning it wasn't just about the book. It wasn't about the authorship. It was really about bringing people together, because I've always said, the best inspiration doesn't come from in spite of each other. It comes because we're with each other.
Yeah,
We get to hear these things because there's so much coming in, and all of a sudden, I think it expands our perspective other people expand our perspective. And I think that that's what's the beauty about this, because we're all entrained in the heart and the mind, and we're all expanding with each other, because there's a certain amount of team and camaraderie that comes from this. And so it wasn't, the community and the literary circles help us do that, and get to know each other more. Well, Ken, thank you so much for being on the show today. Again, everyone, I am with Art of Connection author, contributor Ken Hill. He's owner and founder of US Hapkido Alliance, LLC. You can contact him at kennhilljr@gmail.com or call him at 609-792-0503. Ken, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a blessing.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Ken. Well, I want to thank all of my authors, contributors that have been on this day, or I'm their author contributor. I'm going to say it both ways because we're all in this together. Howard Brown, Lauren Archibeque, and Kenneth Hill. Please go to 365daysofgratitudequotes.com. We have a special going on right now, and we want to hear your story. We want you to be published, and we want you to join the community that helps others with hope, inspiration, and support. And remember, this show is every Thursday from 2:30 to 3:30. Right now we're on Pacific time because we're in that crazy state, Arizona, where we never change with anything. Everyone else changes. So we're those wild mavericks. Everyone have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You've been watching the iNetrepreneur Show, a production of the iNetrepreneur Radio Network with host Robert W. Jones. Join Robert each week as he visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor entrepreneurs worldwide. Follow Robert each Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.
Gentlemen, thank you both. That was very, very fun. I loved it.
Good show.
I hope you guys loved it. Do you guys love it?
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
Yeah. And what's nice, you guys played so well, because when I do it as a show, I take different lenses for each person. You might have noticed that I take, so I don't ask the same questions going through, and I attempt to ask some of your superpowers in there. And I hope, my goal is always to be the best host that I can be, so you can look greater than me.
It was awesome.
That's not easy.
And I'm gonna I haven't done it yet with the other three authors. I will be following up and sending out a Sotellus and for written testimonial, just short written testimonial, and I'll use that to kind of keep promoting the book and keep promoting the show. And I'm going to get this on the website, and hopefully, well, not hopefully, I know people will watch the show, they'll listen to our stories, they'll read more books, they'll get more books, they'll contact you. It's all about, like what you said, Howard, it's just all about us continually working in symphony or in concert to help everyone else in this community. And that's what really is the magic bullet that works.
Yeah, so I would just want to request that once we have the link to the show, I know it's live. It's still the clock's still ticking live, by the way, if you're recording.
Yes,
but it's okay. So I just want the link to the show, the link to be able to sign up, plus a little bit of